Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you again for joining us today. This is a Canvas Live event. Canvas Live sessions are presented by Canvas community members or instructor employees to help Canvas users like you improve and enhance your teaching and learning with Canvas. So without further ado, I'm going to transfer it over to our presenter today, Shay.
Hi, everyone. So thank you for joining us today. So I'm just going to preface this with, this is my first time doing a Canvas live event, as well as I'm doing a kind of a live coding demo. So of course, nothing is going to go wrong. I do have the YouTube video open in another window here, so I'm sort of watching myself as I'm doing this. So, and I'm also looking at the chat, so I'll be able to see if you have any questions, just type them in there. Now, so yes, this is the first time I'm kind of doing this. This might go a little fast because I'm trying to keep this kind of at the very basics of what an LTI is. And so why don't I go into my first slide, I guess. So getting started creating LTIs, presented by me, Shay Silverman. I work for UCF at the Center for Distributed Learning. I am the lead for our integrations team. And essentially what we do here, we have a couple full-timers and some part-timers that are full-time students that we listen to faculty. We find the pain points that they're experiencing or just feature requests that they wish were inside of our LMS, Canvas. And we see about developing those features and integrating them with Canvas via LTI and the APIs that are available to us. So throughout the past 3 years, we've developed numerous apps. If you were here yesterday and saw Jacob's presentation on UDoIT, that was an LTI that was developed here at CDL through a Canvas grant. Basically, we do. Oh yeah, I see a question. Where's UCF? We are University of Central Florida, so we're about 40 minutes from Disney. But yeah, we develop a lot of these apps internally. So this is essentially what the slide deck's going to be. What is an LTI? We're going to create a very simple LTI that shows the data that we get back. I'm going to show off how to secure an LTI using OAuth, and then putting it all together to make an app. Okay, so before we begin, I'm going to be showing some code in PHP and in Python. Now, they're very basic apps. I'll try and get the source code out available as soon as possible, but I don't want to get too inundated with the code. I just want to show you how LTI can work and the capabilities of it. And you'll also need an eduappcenter.com account. And EDU App Center is an amazing resource that I'm going to pull up in a couple minutes. And it's run by Instructure. And it essentially, actually, you know what? I'm going to go to there now. So, all right. So here you go, eduappcenter.com. So what this is the Open LTI app collection. There you can have, if you make an app, you can have it show up in here. You can do all sorts of stuff. This is just a list of LTIs that have been developed by third-party vendors. Some of them are open source, some of them are free, some of them are paid. It's a really awesome resource. But if you have an account, so I'm just going to log, and you can log in with Twitter, GitHub, your Microsoft account, your Google account. I'm just going to log in with Twitter. The real power of EDU App Center is that it can generate your LTI XML for you. So essentially, what is an LTI? An LTI, it stands for Learning Tools Interoperability. What it is a small app that you create that runs within your learning management system. So within Canvas, it's essentially an iframe that gets integrated within your course. Kind of think of it like Facebook games. While you're on Facebook, you can play a game within it. While you're in web courses, while you're within Canvas, you can run and load another app that kind of works directly in it. And your students, your faculty, they never have to leave the course to access other advanced features that you develop. So really quick, just to show what an LTI is. This is a course that I've created within our Canvas install. So within the course and under settings, we have tons of external apps. So really quick, I'm going to install the YouTube LTI. I'm going to add that app. And if I go to Pages, and if I create a page, you're now going to see under the External Tools button, YouTube. And so this is an LTI. This is an embedded iframe. I'm going to do what everybody does on the internet and search for kittens. And there we go. We have some kittens, and I can embed that directly into my course. Okay, so I just now saved this page, and now everybody can see this if they're a student in my course. So now that we know what an LTI is, I want to make my own. How do I do that? So essentially, all an LTI is just your own web page. So I'm going to I am right now in a server, and I'm going to run a very small application. Really, it's just my Parrot application. All it's doing is echoing out what I get from a post request. So if I open parrot.php, and that is really hard to see. I'm sorry about that. Let me see if I could make this a little bit easier. Bear with me 1 second. Like I said, live demo. So really all this is doing is sending out some pre-tags, and it's printing out the post data. And I'll explain why this is important in a moment. So I want to create an LTI around that. This is why I go back to EDU App Center. And I'm now going to create my LTI XML. Create from scratch. Gotta give it a name. Parrot Live, unique identifier, Parrot. And this is where you tell it what the URL for your server is, and basically what the whole URL to the file that you're going to load. So I have my IP address right here, 197.34. slash parrot.php. You can put a description in here, an icon URL, what you want the text to show up as. So parrot, default width pixels, default width and height in pixels. So when a box loads, how big do you want it to be on the screen? Launch privacy. This is super important. So your LTI will send back different information in the post data. And essentially what that means is it's okay, sorry, I'm looking at the questions. Okay, zoom in. Yeah, you can, cool. So basically when you launch an LTI, you're going to receive data back such as the username, the person's email address, the course that they're in. There's all of this information that'll come back. If you set the launch privacy to be anonymous, you'll just get a randomly generated Canvas ID. If you set the name only, you'll get the person's name and email address, and that's about it. If you set it to public, you're going to get tons of information. So I'm going to set this to public right now. Then you next thing is to set a domain. So I'm just going to take my URL, put that in there. And while I'm doing this, you'll notice that the XML results on the side here are updating automatically. Now, we have the basics of an LTI XML going, but we have no idea where to place it. In Canvas, you can place LTIs all over the system. So you can have it as an editor button, as a resource selection, as a homework submission, as a course navigation item, or even in the account navigation and user navigation. So what I'm going to do is make this a course navigation item. And what I'm going to do is click Enabled. And you see it made the Enabled on the side here. I'm going to put that URL in again. I'm going to give it a name, Parrot Live. Visibility, public, members only, or admins only. Public means anyone can see it. Members only is enrolled, and admins are the instructors. You can have it disabled by default, which will hide it. It'll install it in your course, but it'll hide it in the settings page, and you'd have to bring it up through the navigation option. So essentially, this is what I want for my first app. And here's all of my XML. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go into my course and go into Settings. View App Configuration. And then I'm going to add an app. Under configuration type, I'm going to paste in my XML, give it a name. And I don't have a consumer key or a shared secret. I'll get to what those are in a few minutes, but for now, I'm just going to name it NA. So I've saved that. I'm going to go back to my course, and you should now see on the left-hand side, my app is now installed there. And I'm trying to launch insecure content. That's because I'm on HTTPS and the app is HTTP. I'm going to load the unsafe scripts. And it refused to connect because, again, live demo, forgot to actually run my server. Okay, server's running. I'm going to run this again. All right. So now within Canvas, There's my Parrot app, spitting out all the information that you get from an LTI whenever you launch it. You have the OAuth key, my user login, what my roles are. It's an iframe, my email address. So yes, if anybody wants to email me, my email address is s@ucf.edu. And let's see, anything else cool in here? My role. Currently in this course, I'm an administrator and an instructor. And really, that's all there is for that. This is what you get from a basic LTI launch. Oh, sorry, there is one other important thing. There's the launch presentation return URL. Basically, you use this link if you ever want to send anything back to Canvas itself, such as those YouTube videos. And I'll show you how those work in a second, because right now we're going to create our second app, which is a way to embed photos. So I'm going to go back to home here. And I'm going to create another app. And I'm just changing the text and the URL to match the Python app on my server. This time, instead of being a course nav item, this is going to be an editor button. So I'm going to now just set up the same thing, but I want it to be a button. You need a text, so this has got to be photo embed. Now, you need to set all of these here. If you do not set an icon URL, even though your XML is valid, it will not show up in Canvas. I don't have an icon URL, so I'm going to put NA, and you'll see what happens when I do that. And I'm also going to set the width and height of my application to be 600 by 600. So it's automatically generated my XML for me. Yep, everything is there. I'm going to copy this. Go back into the apps page, and I'm going to add an app. So now I'm going to paste the XML in. Call it photos. Again, put in NA for my keys, and hit submit. So what's going to happen now is if I go into a page, I'm going to go back to the page I created before. Sorry, little guy, but I'm going to delete this kitten. And if I hit this little chevron here, more external tools, my photo embed showed up. Now you'll notice it has a broken link because I didn't put in a image for the icon there. But now I'm going to select this, and actually if I did that, it would fail because I haven't actually booted up the script again. So I'm now just going to go back to my Python directory. And I'm now running my Python application. And essentially what happens when I click on Photo Embed, it's asking me choose an icon to insert. I just have the Canvas icon. I'm going to click on this. It retrieved it, and it installed it. It's a super simple, very basic LTI. And I'll quickly show you the code for that. I feel bad because this is really hard to see. Whoops. That's not good. I'm going to see if I can make this bigger at all. Appearance. Okay. So that should be a little bit bigger. This is going to be really weird when I try to show you some Python code in here. But we'll see what happens. All right. So now this is going to look a little complicated, but really all this is a super simple, basic Flask app, which is just a Python web framework. I have my icon here, which just has a title and the file name, image URL. So this is the big thing here. I have my route, which was just a / that loads my function to load my HTML page, that chooser. And you can see here that return URL, I'm grabbing that from the post data that I needed before, launch presentation return URL. This is how I know to take that icon and embed it. And then you can use oembed to send the data back. But what I'm going to show you is and then use oembed to send the data back. So if I open templates, chooser, essentially what I'm doing here is return URL, that web courses URL that you saw before that I got from the return URL post data, return type image. I'm giving it the URL of my server along with the icon file, as well as some alt text. And that's it. Again, this code is going to go up somewhere soon so that you can all take a look at it. But that was really it. It's something like 30 lines of code. And you've made an LTI that actually does something interactive with your LMS. Now, here's the big problem with that. You made something cool, but it isn't secure. Anybody who has that URL is going to be able to access it. So the LTI standard uses OAuth, which is a way of having a public key and a secret key, and being able to share that and making a secure connection between the application and the LMS. So nobody can do a man in the middle or just go to that URL without doing the proper OAuth handling. So I'm going to load a version of my app that actually has OAuth running on it. So I'm going to start with this. For a while, we had done OAuth ourselves, but don't reinvent the wheel. There are amazing OAuth and LTI OAuth libraries already out there. And by using that, you only need to add a line or two of code to your program, and it'll automatically secure itself. So what I'm showing you right now is a framework called PyLTI that's made for Python and Flask that makes making a LTI secured application super simple. All you have to do is load this one line from pylti.flask import LTI, and I have an error page here in case there's an error. And for over the function that you want to be secured, you just do @LTI, and these are just requests, errors, and app data. This is all just the standard boilerplate, and then that's it. LTI equals LTI. If anything goes wrong here, it's not going to load. So I'm going to show you in my config.py file. I have my configuration here. And you can see I have my consumer key and my LTI secret here. Right now, they're just set to a default of change me. So, make sure you change those. But I'm going to show you what happens right now. So I'm going to load my second application. And if you remember, I had just created this one and ran it, and it loaded without issue, but I put in NA for my tool key. So what should happen if I run this right now is that I should get an error. Yep. And that's because I didn't put in the proper key and secret. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back into my settings. I'm going to go look for the photo tool, which was right there that I installed. Oh, and this is really cool. If you click on placements, you can see where it's going to show up. Like with Parrot, you can see that it showed up in course navigation. But I'm just going to go back to my photo app, go to edit, and where the consumer key and shared secret was, I'm now going to change that to change me and change me. Hit submit. And now if I reload the application, or I shouldn't even have to reload, I should just be able to click that again. Yeah. And now it works. All because of the simple framework PyLTI. So I'm going to show you some of the things that we've created which use the LTI standard, so you can see some of the really cool things that you're able to do with it. That photo program that you saw, what we use that for is, it's called Action Icons, and we use this to insert all sorts of resources into our LMS. We also have a full text search system that allows us to search our library. So if I do something like the Raspberry Pi computer, I can now do a search from within here and insert a link straight to the content of that. We have other things like our templater tool, which uses the Canvas API to pull HTML from another course, as well as the LTI standard, to launch a bunch of different pages. So let's say I want to create a new front page, or a faculty member want to, I can just click front page. It's pulling that content, and it automatically generates a page for our faculty just by using the APIs in the LTI standard. There are just hundreds of different things you can do that are as complex as this, or that are as simple as like me just clicking on our Success Resources button here. If I click on that, all it's launching is just a web page, just simple HTML. So you can go as complex or as simple as you need. And I know I went through that pretty quickly, but that's essentially what an LTI is. So I know we have some time left. I would love to answer any questions that come up on the chat. Or if you want to see something again, feel free to ask. I'd love to share. So I saw a question above there about Canvas grant. Yeah, a few years ago, we applied for a grant that Canvas was giving out to create accessibility-based tools. And since we do a lot of accessibility here at UCF, we received the grant and we built our open source tool, UDoIt, which you can watch the YouTube video of that, and it's fully open source and available to download. And actually, almost you can launch this LTI with one click through our deploy to Heroku button. And what that'll do is use the LTI protocol and the API keys to scan your course for any accessibility issues and allow you to fix them right from within the tool. Any other questions? Okay. What are the best practices for building LTIs that work across multiple tool consumers? Okay. So when you say that, I assume you mean multiple LMSs? Like if I wanted to build one tool that would work with Blackboard and D2L and Instructure Canvas as well. A lot of what you saw here is Canvas specific. Under EDU App Center, a lot of the like editor buttons and resource selection, homework submission, course nav, account nav. Actually, the homework and resource selection aren't. But a lot of those are Canvas specific because those are the navigations within Canvas. The basic part, the LTI launch URL and all of that will launch normally. So if you use Moodle, you can try it out and launch it from there. It'll just launch into a that same kind of iframe pop-up. And the newest standard of the LTI actually has the photo passbacks and the OEmbed passbacks, so you can still do most of that. Just the EDU App Center and Canvas makes it easier to put things into the editor button, the WYSIWYG editor, the course nav, and such like that. Okay. Sonia, I am sorry, I don't know of any good JavaScript LTI libraries because I've never had to do it client-side like that. Or it might, or like from a Node.js library. Thank you, Garth. Okay, so IMS Global has a link to sample code for JavaScript. There are some amazing ones. IMS Global has ones for PHP, which is a really good framework. We use that for some of our apps. Instructure has open sourced a conversion of the PHP app to Ruby, which you can use. And then there's the Python one that I showed you, which is PyLTI. And yes, that is the PyLTI from GitHub. That HTML wizard, that is not open source yet. We are working very hard to open source as many of our programs as possible. And it's just, it's a lot of paperwork, but we are pushing through. We want to make sure that we open source and give back to the community as much as possible. Ravi asks, when do we use the developer keys from Canvas? Okay, so the developer keys are used when you need API access rather than, or when you need API access to Canvas itself rather than just using an LTI that just uses your own data from your own server. So you would make a developer key if you wanted to do a OAuth handshake that allows an instructor or a student to click accept and log in, and they get a kind of not a one-time use, but it's kind of like a limited use API key. So for the time that the app is open, it's authenticating as the person who launched it. If you can also, rather than use a developer key, even though developer keys are kind of best practice, if you are building something internally, you can just make an authentication token. I'll show you how to do that really quick. For yourself, if you go into your profile, you can see I've made a lot of these, and click New Access Token. You can create a token here that will make a that will give you API access. But again, this isn't LTI specific. This is APIs for Canvas that can also be used from within an LTI. Matt, I'm glad you found that, but I'm just going to show everybody as well how you can get to the page to generate. Once you've logged in, you just go to Admin, Configurations, and then it'll save your configurations for you, and then you can create from scratch. So now here's another really cool thing. If I configure my XML, and I'm just going to make another one really quick. .com. So let's say I've just made my XML here. It created it for me, and I want to save this. I just hit save. And, oh. So there it is. Under the top there, My Save Configurations. What's really cool is EDU App Center can now host this XML for you. So if I load this, and you'll see that it, in a second, it popped up with a configured XML file. If I copy this and put it back into the external apps and click Add App, rather than pasting the XML in here, I can just go by URL and paste in that URL there, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. I would then just need to put in the name and the consumer key and secret. Any other questions, comments, suggestions? Give everybody a couple more seconds to type it out. And while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to plug our open source pages. If all of our stuff is on GitHub, so if you go to github.com/UCFopen, this is how you can get to UDoIt. And soon our Python API wrapper, PyCanvas. Hopefully very soon, fingers crossed. Sonia, so where can we find this code afterwards? If all goes according to plan, the code should be here under our open source area of GitHub. Or if you need any more information, let's see, I'm going to duplicate this. You can always email me s@ucf.edu. Yep, just send me an email with any questions or anything you'd like to know. And yeah, I will post my contact information as well as these links to the Canvas event. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time. I hope you learned something from this. And again, this is a whole community-driven event. LLTI is a community standard. It's blown up in the past 2-3 years, and it's not as complicated or as hard as it seems. I know I went through it really fast, but I only had an hour. I can definitely work with you and help you out if you have any questions. Just contact me, s@ucf.edu. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Shay. This was very, very helpful. And thanks to everybody who came to participate in the session. We will post the recording online as soon as the session is over. Thanks a lot, Shay.
Have a great day, guys.